This is America's oldest soccer tournament. Built in small towns with big dreams. From local grounds to the biggest stages, part-timers and major leaguers chase the same thing. A cup that doesn't care about your club's payroll or what the pundits say. A cup that invites the chaos and carries a legacy. Under the lights, between the lines, it's one match at a time. To cement your name in history. This is the 111th edition of the Lamar Hunt U.S. Open Cup.
We welcome you to round one action of the 111th edition of the Lamar Hunt U.S. Open Cup from Truist Point in High Point, North Carolina. It's Carolina Core FC out of MLS Next Pro, playing host to Virginia Dream out of UPSL. Alongside Eric Dobransky, I'm Josh Appel. Thanks so much for spending part of your Thursday night with us. It's been an incredible week in the first round of the Open Cup, and we complete it here tonight. Let's take a look at our team profiles tonight. Carolina Core, third Open Cup appearance. Automatic qualifiers. They finished 8th in the Eastern Conference. Heartbreaker in the Open Cup last year.
Yeah, falling in the 93rd minute, a game winner for Charlotte Independence, and feature a new group to kickstart their Open Cup journey. So interested to see what Donovan Ricketts' side presents tonight in their opening matchup.
Never lost to an amateur side, and they've never lost at home in the Open Cup. For Virginia Dream, another club established in 2022. They're led by the head coach, C.J. Taylor. He played his college ball at Old Dominion, second straight Open Cup appearance.
I know this is going to sound odd since they were established in 2022, but Virginia Dream already have the history and the pedigree to be a difficult matchup. They showed it last year throughout the first two rounds, and then bring back a lot of experience to this roster. So they're going to come out and try to build that identity early.
Almost time for kick from Truist Point in High Point, North Carolina. Carolina Core, Virginia Dream, first round of the U.S. Open Cup. Lineups and kick next. Just about ready for kick in the first round of the Lamar Hunt U.S. Open Cup. Carolina Core, Virginia Dream. Eric Dobransky. Here's how the two sides line up.
Yeah, anytime you're playing in the U.S. Open Cup and you have that unfamiliar foe, it's all about earning the right to play. And for Carolina Core, this midfield is going to be so important. Rambo and Montenegro, how do they play in front of that back line? How do they dictate the flow of this match? And Akinkoy and Lakulia, two players from last year's Open Cup run for Virginia Dream, 4 goals between the two of them out of their 5 total.
Yeah, Zoumana Diarra also another one to keep an eye on. He scored in the clincher for Virginia Dream as they qualified for the 2nd consecutive season. Yannick Rothfuss is our referee this evening. And what's been an exciting time around these parts in High Point, Eric, with the High Point men's basketball team in March Madness knocking off Wisconsin earlier today. Could we see some more March Madness Open Cup edition this evening?
I'm going to say something's in the air, and anytime you play the U.S. Open Cup, it's just such a special environment. It brings out so many different emotions from the players, the coaching staff, and you just see it play out in real time because you don't have a lot on these teams. I mean, obviously Carolina Core are coming off. They've played 2 regular season matches already, so a bit of familiarity. But I would also say Virginia Dream, coming from a situation where they're not necessarily as start and stop as some of the teams that you see in the U.S. Open Cup, they have a bit more familiarity. They have a bit more sustainability within their season. So do we see that identity play itself into this match earlier? Last year, it was all about efficiency. I mean, you look at the first round match against Richmond Kickers for Virginia Dream, 3 goals on 3 shots on target. Second round, they fell to Loudoun United, 2 goals on 3 shots on target. So when they get their chances, they take them.
They are winless in league play this season. Only played twice. They haven't won in March in their short history as a club either. I'm hoping that changes tonight. Virginia, the state, has been represented in the Open Cup by 14 different amateur clubs in the modern era, dating back to 1995, when Spartans SC of Fairfax lost to the Richmond Kickers, who were an amateur club themselves at the time. And as we all know, the Kickers were the last amateur team to win in the Open Cup. Virginia Dream made it to the 2nd round last season. They defeated MSI Pro 2-0 in the final round of Open Division qualifying to make it to this point. And Virginia Dream gets us underway. They're in white, Carolina Core in the dark kits. Josh Appel and Eric Dobransky with you from Truist Point. So Eric, for Virginia Dream, if they are to pull this off on the road tonight, how are they going to do it?
Connecting the lines, and that's both on and off the ball, making sure defensively your structure is on point, making sure there's not the spaces in for Carolina Core to play in and out of. Carolina Core have been electric offensively in league play thus far. Obviously have not registered 3 points just yet, but on the attacking side, very dynamic, very explosive. And then on the ball for Virginia Dream, mentioned the familiarity. They've got 7 of their 11 starters in this matchup tonight are from that played in the last year's U.S. Open Cup. So look for that cohesiveness, that fluidity offensively to be here early.
You mentioned cohesiveness, and Carolina Core might be trying to figure some of that out. They're an independent club in MLS Next Pro, unaffiliated. And they've only got 5 players from the 2025 roster back in 2026.
Well, that's such an interesting point, Josh, because when you look at the U.S. Open Cup, I mean, game after game in this first round, you look at these matchups, the pro side, you tend to lean towards that's where the familiar, style of play, identity, everything from the structure side of it, preseason, you've got games under your belt. But this is a Carolina Core side, to your point just a moment ago, they're still growing. They're still developing into the season. Whereas in Virginia Dream, I'm definitely not saying they're off and running into their season, but definitely know each other quite a bit.
Fillerman flies this in. Lakulia's chance is blocked away Yepes heads it into the air. And controlled still by Virginia Dream.
And Kulia is going to be somebody that they need to keep an eye on. He was a menace through the first 2 rounds of the Open Cup last year. And the scoreline was 4-2 against Loudoun United, but it was back and forth. It was 1-1 for a significant amount of time, and then Ben Mines from Loudoun scored to make it 2-1. And when you're chasing a game, you're going to tend to open yourself up to possible defensive lapses. That's what for both these teams. They want to get off to a good start. This first 15, 20 minutes, make sure you're front-footed, make sure you're progressive in everything you're doing, your movement.
62-degree evening in High Point, North Carolina. Beautiful night. Ricardo Montenegro has the gloves on his hands, and that's what made me, make sure to look at the weather, because I'm like, is it a lot colder than I think it is? It's 62 degrees with the gloves on. I mean, we're Florida guys. I'm not even sure we would go gloves in 62-degree weather. Yeah,
I could see some of the thinner long sleeve under some of the players' uniform, but the gloves kind of worried me in terms of the temperature, but
Carolina Core with their first sustained possession of the game. It was put towards Nathan Brown and cleared away by Virginia Dream for a Carolina throw. They get it in quick. That's over the end line for a corner. Dylan John was battling there. And it'll be Thomas Rainbolt who goes over to take the corner.
Fans, get on your feet. We have a Carolina Core FC.
They go short.
Presented by DeLeal Field Commercial Real Estate, CCFC's official commercial real estate.
The cross. Back into the corner and out for a throw. How do you feel about corners that go short like that instead of putting it into the mixer? But first, potential chance. Cleared away by Virginia Dream.
Yeah, anytime you go short, what you're really looking for is initial movements. Defensively, who are the first to detach and leave? Personnel-wise, what are you getting? How are you thinning out the box? Are you able to kind of get more numbers in than the defensive side? And it does allow you to get a couple different looks, because then you can get the service off, but something that as you grow in the game, does it make some different elements on the free kicks available? Good ball in.
Zegers moves it in front. Oh, fanned on it. And then Rainbolt didn't know where it was. He was all alone, unmarked, and whiffed on the shot. And here comes Virginia Dream in transition. It's Zumana Diarra. 4 goals the last 2 games, a hat trick, and the go-ahead goal in the clincher. A lot of physicality on that far side, and Elijah Amo is whistled for the foul.
And box to box, good ball in here, good run from Nathan Brown. Rainbolt just unable to connect, and that's where offensively as you see the foul, the yellow card, early yellow card here. And anytime you're in those wide areas, you're gonna take on a lot of these 1v1 duels, so you just have to be measured. You have to be careful with what you do the remainder of this game. But for Carolina Core, they're creating at a high clip, and it's just now about rewarding themselves and being efficient when they do create those moments.
This is Aguirre. Evers. For Dylan John, he goes down, foul given, free kick coming.
This is what head coach Donovan Ricketts wants to see from Carolina Core, allowing their defensive posture to then lead into the freedom offensively. Owning your role and recognizing your role off the ball. But once that ball is in possession, feeling like you have the freedom to occupy different areas, ask different questions.
Rainbolt takes the free kick. Blocked away. And the foul on Carolina Core. Harry Hawkins, the one who blocked the ball in. It comes all the way through for LaCulia. And out for a Virginia throw.
And my challenge to Carolina Core would be going through 90 minutes of solid rest defense, because there's going to be moments where you see a lot of the ball, you see a lot of possession inside of Virginia Dream's defensive half. But Virginia Dream are so effective in transition. We've already seen Diarra on the ball. LaCulia, the movement, he can drift out wide and then find himself central again. Good hold-up play. And Akinkoy, that late arrival, his ability to work underneath this front line, they can hit you, and they can hit you quick.
Mentioned that only 5 players are back from 25 to 26 for Donovan Ricketts and Carolina Core. To put it another way, that's only 2 of their 42 total goals scored returned from last year. Both were scored by Jesus Ibarra, who's not out there at the moment. A little over 1,000 minutes of total play back for Donovan Ricketts in 2026. But he's happy with the group. I mean, he feels like they have a lot of good experience. Last year, there weren't a lot of guys who were used to the professional game. And that eventually played itself out.
And they're still growing into the season. They had 2 weeks of preseason kind of washed away due to weather and some issues from that standpoint, so you're really making up some ground.
Yeah, their first match of the season canceled due to the snow. Good build up here, Anthony Sumo. Sumo still with it, then he goes down. That's clean and cleared. Dangerous challenge, but well done by Virginia Dream.
You look up and down this Virginia Dream roster, and especially the 11, just experience and vast experience. So this is going to be a team, regardless of what the ebbs and flows and what this game presents, they're going to be fully aware of what they're going to have to be responsible for, and you see it there defensively. I mean, first defender, second defender, good support, occupying good space.
One thing you don't want to do if you're one of the teams like Carolina Core, we see cup sets all the time. The longer you let these semi-pro and amateur sides hang around, the more dicey it gets. Fillerman put that one down to nobody. And so it's scooped up by Carolina Core.
And to the point you just made, you talk to a lot of coaches within this first round, they talk about how important the spine of the team is, that middle portion of the field. And that's where Virginia Dream have the most experience. Starting with their center forward all the way through the midfield, all the way to the center back position. Say Hector Guerrero is probably one of the newer additions to Virginia Dream. But besides that, you have a veteran group, one that have done it at various levels, whether it's the USL Championship, whether it's League One, obviously the college ranks as well.
It's a tough draw as far as an amateur side goes. Montenegro formerly of Inter Miami 2, is tripped up. Last 3 seasons with Inter Miami 2. He was acquired in January. Long down that left side. Good ball. John trying to track it down. And out for a goal kick. Carolina trying to apply some pressure. Dealt with well for the moment by Virginia Dream as Fillerman gives off to Kofi. Amo playing with a yellow.
And that's going to be a moment defensively the Carolina Corps are going to be disappointed with, just from the fact that you get Virginia Dream in kind of an uncertain position in the buildup, just not able to get your back line to slide and climb at the same time and put some pressure on Fillerman.
Harry Hawkins. Now Virginia Dream on the move. Fillerman lays it forward, but out of the reach of Slavov, and it's a goal kick for Nick Holliday.
Good spell of possession there from Virginia Dream. Moving the ball well, ball popping off their foot, moving Carolina Corps, and you saw that they were able to break that line, and they were close enough in proximity. They were able to combine and get Fillerman in on that left side, and we've seen a lot of involvement from that left flank. And what we've seen the first 2 nights of the opening rounds for U.S. Open Cup is kind of the fitness levels of each side play a factor. Does one team able to hold that standard through 90 minutes? We've seen some of the amateur sides kind of dim out towards the end and kind of concede late. So that's going to be something for both these sides that you keep an eye on.
What have you made of this start, first 15 minutes for the home side Carolina Corps? Not much going on.
Yeah, they're down in possession right now, but I also think that some of it is because they are seeing some positive space available when they get on the ball at midfield. Now, they've got to make next ball predictable, because right now, Virginia Dream is moving them around, and you're going from anticipating within that first probably 5 to 8 minutes, they were jumping the spaces. They were able to be proactive with their movement, but right now they're just reactionary in everything they're doing, and you can see that Virginia Dream are able to go side to side, go inside out, and now you get a dangerous free kick. So Carolina Corps are going to want to get some of that stability defensively, and that starts with first ball pressure.
See if Virginia Dream can take advantage. But first, Yannick Rothfuss wants to have a conversation with Yepes and Laculia. Service comes in. Back post. And then whistled high on the follow-up by Virginia Dream, out for a goal kick. Tim Zegers First season with Carolina Core, one of the many newcomers.
A player that does extremely well, climbing the field, introducing himself in the final third. Puts a lot of value in his dual impact, winning those 1v1s defensively, but also getting forward and playing entry passes like that. Obviously, it doesn't come together, but it does earn a free kick.
Sumo took a spill. Best chance so far was one that never really materialized for Carolina Core when Thomas Rambolt found himself alone in front of goal, whiffed on the shot attempt, and then could not locate the ball, and Virginia Dream was able to survive that. Outside of that, in these first 18 minutes, there has not been much for either side. Expected goals right now, 0.05 Virginia Dream, 0.0 for Carolina Core.
And right now, Carolina Core are getting into those wide areas, into the final third at a rapid rate that it's just not allowing them to collectively represent themselves in the box. Let's see what they do here on this set piece.
Set piece is all the more important and magnified in these types of games. Thomas Rambolt stands over it, along with Montenegro. It's the lefty. Rambolt curls it in. John recycles. John floats it towards goal. Punched away by Guerrero aggressively. Carolina Core wanted a handball. Yannick Rothfuss lets it go. And this comes all the way in to Nick Holliday.
Quick transition for Virginia Dream. Both teams putting a ball into space, putting the goalkeepers in play.
Rambolt. Space on this side for Zegers. He takes advantage of it. Pass taken away though. Zumana Diarra got the first deflection, and Carolina commits the foul. So let's see if we can take one more look at that possible handball from a moment ago.
And this ball clipped in. Looks like Guerrero gets touched.
Oh, that's absolutely a handball.
Yeah, I don't know if the referee's just so focused on the goalkeeper and the contact that he doesn't get shifted over, but you're absolutely right.
Fortunately for Virginia Dream, it wasn't called, but fortunate in two ways. Number one, if it was called, dangerous spot for a free kick, but not as bad as it could have been. He was outside the penalty area.
And that's where positional play becomes so important, because a lot of the time it's a thankless job. There's very subtle plays that come into action, and that's one of them. Yes, it's a handball, but to your point, it's outside the box. Yes, it's a dangerous free kick, but at least you're making sure that you're clear of any danger from conceding a penalty. Last year in the first round against Richmond Kickers, that's what opened up the scoring for Virginia Dream. Kulia ball in behind and then was able to convert the penalty.
Easy whistle there. On May 31st, Charlotte, North Carolina welcomes the United States men's national team for the All-State Continental Classico against Senegal. Get your first look at the nation's biggest stars before they head to the FIFA World Cup this summer. The match kicks off at Bank of America Stadium at 3:30 p.m. Eastern. Tickets are available now at ussoccer.com/tickets.
Besides some of the spells that we get the start and stops because of the fouls, you have to like the way that both these teams are kind of growing into this match, asking different questions. You can see the line of confrontation for Carolina Core has ramped up quite a bit. They're starting to put a lot more pressure on Hector Guerrero. Unable to get some of the lines below that front line to climb at the same time and get the appropriate amount of pressure to turn them over. And for Virginia Dream, doing a good job on the ball, getting good play, making ability from the two center backs, allowing Fillerman to climb the field, access some of that wide space. They have not been able to get Laculia involved just yet, and we have not seen much of Akinkoy.
Oh, we haven't called his name at all.
Yeah.
Aside from just bringing up his name in conversation. Another throw in coming for Virginia Dream. Fillerman. Goal kick coming. Slow pace to this one. A lot of deliberate actions. Carolina just doesn't seem like they're very sharp in the first 24 minutes.
Yeah, and you see the defensive structure there from Virginia Dream. Very patient, as you mentioned, very deliberate. And you get Carolina core misfiring and getting a bit overzealous in how quickly they want to play forward and finding a midfielder's feet. You can see Montenegro wanting to get on the ball. A lot of the moments there deeper. Let him become that playmaker. Obviously, Zegers kind of vacates that right back position and gets himself into the midfield and higher space really early. So can they start to find Montenegro's feet? Can you start to get some of that movement and use that as the time that you initiate a lot of the play? Virginia Dream are playing a very fine line in some of this build-up play through Guerrero.
John, fouled, free kick after the giveaway by Virginia Dream.
And this is better pressure from Carolina core. Some of the pressure before, the lines were so separated. That's a
surprised there wasn't a card there.
And it's crafty to get yourself between the defender and the ball, knowing that you're going to get crunched like that. But for Carolina core, they've had a couple free kicks, a couple set pieces. They have not been able to put bodies around Hector Guerrero, and that's something that we saw with that ball clipped over the top into space. Make him make a play. Same thing. See Virginia Dream dropped a bit deeper here to defend this one just because of the location of the free kick. You put it right in between that penalty spot and that 6-yard box. Right in that space where Sumo is.
Rainbow and Montenegro once more stand over this. Rainbow sends it towards goal. Cleared away for the moment. Still free. Montenegro to his left. Over the top. Header! Big save by Guerrero. And then some contact with Yepes. And Yepes will get booked.
And this is more like it from Carolina core. Good delivery. Unfortunately, for Carolina core, you just don't provide the chaos and the traffic in front, but you do recycle. You get a good delivery there, and you test Hector Guerrero. Just don't get enough of an angle there to hit that far post. That's going to be something to build on for Carolina core.
McGuire, the one who got a head on it. Maybe this is where Carolina core can start to find their game a little bit. Sumo keeps it alive, now loses it. And it's Diarra. There's Akincoy. Laculia. Taken off the ball by Sumo, who's done it a couple of times in the last few minutes. Advantage played for Virginia Dream. Montenegro for Carolina Core. Leads ahead for Sumo. He goes crashing down. And a throw in coming for Carolina and Montenegro.
And right now, Virginia Dream doing a good job of absorbing some of these defensive transition moments, getting good numbers behind the ball, and then when they don't necessarily get all the numbers they need, they get into quality interventions, whether it's the tackle or the positioning. That's a rough one right there.
Yeah, Nolan Evers. That's Laculia who's down.
Dispossessed here, and then positive ball to Laculia. Clever little touch, and he knows that he doesn't have a lot of options going forward to play wide or forward, and drags Evers into that tackle, and seems like just getting a talking to from the center official. And you can see from both teams defensively what the line of confrontation does for you, because Carolina Core, they're playing that line of confrontation very high. They're putting pressure on Hector Guerrero, which means their space in between the lines is just that much bigger, and it doesn't allow you to down press. So when you have that initial pressure, that first ball pressure, you don't have any help coming from that other line, that higher line, whether it's the forward line, midfield line, whereas in Virginia Dream, their line of confrontation is a bit lower, a bit deeper. So when you get into moments like this, you're already surrounded as soon as you get on the ball.
Thomas Rainbow trying to find Montenegro. Well spotted by Virginia Dream.
And in no way do I want to discourage that ball from Rainbow, but as this game progresses, is that a play that he possibly takes a deeper touch into the 18-yard box, because you have to pull somebody out of there, because Virginia Dream, they have good numbers inside their 18-yard box. They have a lot of that space covered. You just need one more play to move somebody. Good ball in.
Brown lead forward, Sumo! But Guerrero aggressively out to nab it. Sumo's had a good start first half hour.
And this is a very dangerous run. I mean, what a terrific ball. You just wonder what he saw there at the end, that he wasn't able to get the touch. It looked like it was going to be his before it was going to get to Hector Guerrero. Obviously, some of the space, when you look at a ball like that, is a little bit deceptive. Maybe it was a bit farther ahead of Sumo than what we see, but this 5-minute spell right here from Carolina Core, obviously they've had other spells within this match that have been very positive, but when you sprinkle in the danger from the free kicks and then the pressure and some of the on-the-ball play, it's been something, to your point you mentioned a few moments ago, that you're starting to stack moments, and when you can start stacking moments, you can kind of grab that momentum and carry it throughout the rest of this first half. But Donovan Ricketts said it when we spoke to him this week. When you play these one-off matches, it's about who converts the chances. You create the chance and you take your chances. We mentioned the efficiency for Virginia Dream last year in the Open Cup. They have the experience that knows what it takes to be composed in some of those final third moments. So for Carolina Core, you're still building up to what you're looking for from that clear-cut chance thus far.
Here's the thing, Eric, though. You talk about creating chances. We are in the now 33rd minute, and neither side has really created anything. There's 1 combined shot on target and 3 combined shots in the first half hour plus of this game. Maybe there's one coming here. Rainbolt with space down that right side. Cuts to his left. Rainbolt for Montenegro. Back for Rainbolt. Takes a deflection and Guerrero scoops it up. So the final third entries are there, but it's that final action that Carolina's still missing so far.
Absolutely right, and that's something that you need to fine-tune. And obviously when you're playing somebody that you're...
Here's a giveaway. Zumana Diarra. And that fizzles out for Virginia.
That's a big defensive play right there because dangerous turnover. This game has opened up quite a bit. And you can see both teams feel confident that they've now gotten the flow of it and have gotten into rhythm collectively. You see Sumo go down.
John trying to get around the corner. He gets taken down. No penalty. And he's wondering why. It's a goal kick for Virginia Dream.
Yeah, he almost got that touch into, as we see Sumo tumbling.
It's Michael DeShields he's matched up with.
And then Dylan John almost gets that touch towards the byline that puts himself between the defender and the ball. And you have experience along this back line. I mean, obviously, Fillerman, we've mentioned a couple times on the ball. He's kind of dimmed out in those possession moments. He's had to do a lot of defending, dealing with Nathan Brown and Rambolt with some of those entries from midfield. So they've kind of taken him out from that attacking moment. But Michael DeShields, another player, vast experience, quality 1v1 defender.
Nick Holiday, the number 2 in league play for Carolina Core. Gets the start tonight. Has not been tested yet. John was able to keep that in along that far touchline.
And when we talked to Donovan Ricketts, it was about how this final third comes together. Another good entry ball. Can they get that final action?
Montenegro on the cross. Brown just put it wide of that far post. Brown's come close a couple of times. Good delivery in a few moments ago, and that shot attempt nearly had Carolina Core on top.
And that's the attention that we were speaking about just a few moments ago. Montenegro, the drive and dribble, he stalls out defenders where they don't know where to move initially in. Picking up that pocket of space, just unable to hit target. First loud opportunity for Carolina Core. They've kind of lived in and around the 6-yard box, just unable to connect that final pass. Misfired a couple times.
Rainbolt took a shot to the chest. Went down. Foul given. And now some extracurriculars after the fact. Sumo getting into it with Akinkoy.
And I think that's something for Sumo. We've seen him get frustrated the last 5 to 10 minutes. Not been able to get on the ball in some of those dangerous moments and putting a lot of good pressure on, but just unable to turn them over.
Brown. Miscommunication. I think he thought he had a teammate making a run or was already in that spot, and obviously not.
And the shift that we've seen from Carolina Core is just making the next ball predictable. When you can get quality first pressure and make it known to those lines below you where you're forcing, the areas that you're looking for your opponent to have access to, you're able to get compact, you're able to get sustainable structure there, and that's where Carolina Core is able to pick up the ball higher up the field, and then they're sprinkling in possession with some of the quick transition that they can present. There's a good opportunity from Virginia Dream.
Akincoy. Wide for Fillerman. Elijah Amo turns it back. Virginia Dream, after all of that, into the final third. Good recovery by Montenegro, and it's cleared by Virginia Dream, almost like they were lulling Carolina Core to sleep. Akincoy, a laser beam handled by Holiday, and that's the first shot on target for Virginia Dream, and Holiday up to the test.
Has been a mainstay for Virginia Dream, and we have not had the chance to call his name a lot, and this is another good attack generated.
Nathan Brown trying to move it along. Came through in the direction of Tim Zegers and out for a goal kick. One of the greatest rivalries in women's international soccer is coming to Seattle. The U.S. women's national team returns to Lumen Field for the first time in nearly a decade, facing Japan on Tuesday, April 14th. World Cup finals, Olympic thrillers, iconic moments. It's a rivalry that's delivered it all, and now it's coming to the Pacific Northwest. Get your tickets today at ussoccer.com/tickets. Montenegro has had a strong half defensively. But again, just a lot of deliberate movements for both sides when they're in possession. Some might call it patience.
Well, we saw it just a moment ago. The patience from Virginia Dream, knocking it side to side along the back line, and all of a sudden you get that big diagonal ball. Little one-touch header into space, and Akincoy was in on goal. So both these teams kind of controlling different moments throughout the match. And for Carolina Core, we can see some frustration starting to show itself, whether it's when a ball gets away or kind of misfire in the final third. So for Carolina Core, it's about kind of blending that experience of we're creating some of the chances around the 18-yard box. We just need that final detail and not allow that to translate itself into frustration that takes control of the creativity and some of the clever play that we've seen from Carolina Core, just like this.
Zegers and line out in front. Sumo denied on the rebound. It was sitting there and then cleared by Virginia. Oh, Sumo, he's going to see that one in his nightmares. John went down, no foul. And the foul called here on Brown. John is still down. Brown will get called or booked for a yellow.
And we've seen for Carolina Core a heavy dose of attacking along this right side, whether it's Rainbolt, that late entry from midfield, whether it's Zegers. And What a run into space, and Sumo just unable to get the contact that he was looking for.
Hector Guerrero, excellent stop. As you see what happened with Dylan John.
Ladies and gentlemen, your attention please. A yellow card has been issued by the referee.
It's 2 yellows for Carolina Core in this first half. Nathan Brown just picked one up. Santiago Yepes got one earlier. Elijah Amo, the only player booked for Virginia Dream.
As we see this first half come to a close, got to wonder that what each of these coaching staffs are thinking in regards to changes to start the second half and of other spaces to exploit, because obviously Carolina Core has focused in and honed in a lot of their exploits along that right side, whether it's the overlapping run, mentioned the midfield, the ability to create some overloads in that space. But again, some of these stoppages from Carolina Core, you could just see the hands thrown up, some frustration. They want this ball to stay in play, and they want this continuation so they could possibly get on the ball and hit Virginia Dream in transition and find some space.
Sometimes in these matches, you'll see the pro side wear down the semi-pro, the amateur side, and by the end, that's where you start to see some of that separation. But Carolina really hasn't made Virginia Dream run around and chase them a lot in this first half. If you're Virginia Dream, I mean, this half has gone about as well as it could have.
100%.
Despite not really creating many chances for themselves.
Yeah, other than the chance from Akinkoy, and that was about 5+ minutes ago, just, more recent. You're absolutely right. I think Virginia Dream look at this first half and they say, hey, we've absorbed some pressure, we've absorbed some chances, but we've really minimized any sort of threat in and around our box. Now it's about, can you grow into the game and maybe sustain something offensively going into the second half. And for Carolina Core and Donovan Ricketts, it's really going to be a balance of keep doing what you're doing, because you're finding a lot of success in a lot of different moments, but also making sure that you're identifying that final product has to be there. And you've had the chances to make sure you put the first one away. You had a chance at the second one. Obviously, the Nathan Brown shot went wide. Sumo's shot was saved, but didn't really make clean contact.
We're in stoppage time now in the first half. Got to wonder if in the second half things start to open up a little more. How much more aggressive each side gets.
I'll tell you this, a goal will change the tempo of this match quite a bit, whether it's Virginia Dream scoring first or Carolina Core. Because you've said it a number of times, you could see the intent, how deliberate both these teams are, and how does that urgency ramp up once a goal is scored.
Montenegro forward for Sumo. Sumo back on it, and then gotten rid of by Harry Hawkins. Carolina find a breakthrough before the end of the half.
And for Carolina Core, at the break, you can only imagine that the players are probably going to get together and have a talk about what each of them are seeing in that final third What runs do you want to see? What deliveries do you want to see? Because with all the good that you've seen, or some of the louder glimpses that you've seen, you have seen some of these kind of hopeful balls just clipped in that have been met by Virginia Dream. And for Virginia Dream, the discussion is going to be, how do you provide a sustainable threat to Carolina core that puts them on their back foot and doesn't allow them to play as open and as fast in transition as they've been able to in some instances.
So we're scoreless at the end of one half at Truist Point. First round of the 111th edition of the Lamar Hunt U.S. Open Cup. Carolina core 0, Virginia Dream 0. We'll have our highlights and the second half in just a few. Stick with us.
center dot. And we're back to play another round of the center dot challenge. Tonight we've got 3 contestants that are going to be shooting or kicking from the 18-yard box all the way here right into the middle to the center dot. Now if any one of these 3 contestants land directly on the center dot, near or around or touching the center dot, they're going to be walking away with a 2026 Carolina Core FC jersey. Now fans, let's give it up for them. We've got 3 contestants. Here we go. Contestant number 1, are you ready? He's ready. Here he goes. Right on the dot. There we go. Oh, it's a little bit. It's a strong one to his left. Contestant number 2, are you ready? He's ready. Let's see what you got. It's a little bit to the right and a little short.
Welcome back to Truist Point. First round of the Lamar Hunt U.S. Open Cup, the 111th edition. Going all the way back to 1914. Carolina Core out of MLS Next Pro and Virginia Dream out of UPSL. 0-0 at the half. Josh Appel, Eric Dobransky. Opportunities were hard to come by for both sides there.
They were, and for Carolina Core, fair to say they created some of the louder ones in terms of testing Guerrero. You had this header off a additional wave off a set piece, but Virginia Dream was able to hit Carolina Core in some instances where they had collective numbers in the final third. They were able to turn and go at goal. A lot of overloads for Carolina Core along their right side. They were able to create some opportunities, this being one of the better of the few. Sumo getting it on his left foot, just unable to make solid contact. Guerrero down to his right makes the save. Had that rebound sitting there, but unable to jump on it.
Here are our first half stats. For a while, possession favored Virginia Dream, but as you can tell, not a lot going on. The 2 shots on target and the third that missed the target for Carolina, they were good chances. You can credit Hector Guerrero for this game still being 0-0.
Yeah, and for Carolina Core, kind of going back to them misfiring in the final third, they have 11 touches in the opposition box. But then you flip it to Virginia Dream, the efficiency aspect of it, and the one that was showcased in 2025, 1 shot on target thus far in the first 45, and only 1 touch in the opposition box. So that one time they were able to break into the defensive 18-yard box of Carolina Core, they were able to get a good look at Nick Holiday. For Virginia Dream, it's just about trying to find more moments like that, because how much can you suffer for 45 without the ball and continue to give up some of the chances? But the longer this game stays at 0-0, we've seen it time and time again, frustration starts to show.
All it takes is one breakdown, one moment. And the longer these sides, the likes of Carolina Core, allow the amateur semi-pro sides to hang around, that's when you see the chaos happen. 1 lapse in judgment sets up a free kick. 1 lapse in judgment sets up a turnover, and it's in the back of your net, and all of a sudden we got a cup set brewing.
And you compound that with some of the frustration that we've seen from Carolina Core. They feel like they've generated enough chances and adaptability in the final third. And what you don't want from Carolina Core is to reinvent the wheel, because their movement has been productive. Their occupation of certain areas has been progressive. They just have not had that final pass come off. For Virginia Dream, they have to feel good about what they've absorbed and what they were able to generate.
Other scores from around the Open Cup tonight. Cup set brewing. Flint City Bucks on an own goal. They lead Forward Madison 1-0 around the half-hour mark. Charlotte Independence on a goal in the 4th minute. They're on top of Ristosi 1-0. And Lexington just underway against Flower City Union. Those 3 matches, the only 3 going on in addition to ours here in High Point, North Carolina. Josh Appel, Eric Dobransky with you. So glad you could spend part of your Thursday night with us. It's been a great 3 days of first-round action in the Open Cup. Second round will be in a couple of weeks, March 31st and April 1st. We did have substitutions at the half, and when we identify them, we will certainly relay those to you at home. Anthony Sumo awaiting the okay to get us started from Yannick Rothfuss. And here we go in the second half. Who will move on to round number 2 of the Open Cup? Both of these sides made it to the second round last year. Carolina Core's best finish back in 2024 in the 3rd round. Virginia's run ended last season in the 2nd. It's their 2nd U.S. Open Cup appearance in club history. Both have come in the last 2 seasons. Club founded in 2022, like Carolina Core. who's one of 3 independents in MLS Next Pro. John had some trouble with it. It did end up over the touchline, and so it's a throw for Virginia Dream. Michael DeShields gets it in. And quickly, Carolina Core recovers. John tried to find David Diaz. He's one of the substitutions for Carolina Core and Donovan Ricketts. Good support from behind by Rainbolt. And now on the move, Sumo. 1-on-3. And a throw-in for Core.
That's really well done to earn a throw. Allow your teammates to join you.
Montenegro for Zegers. He couldn't get there. Amo on it for Virginia Dream. Good ball forward. Laculia. And a great recovery by Nolan Evers to thwart that run up. It'll be a throw-in for Virginia Dream. Already a bit more of an open start in the first couple of minutes than really anything we saw in the first half.
Yeah, big-time intervention there defensively from Evers, and it had to be because we have not seen a lot of involvement from Laculia, and you have to believe that Virginia Dream, that's something that they want to make sure happens in this second 45, along with Akinkoy. Can they get close enough to each other to have that link-up play, have that combination, but to pick up that ball from Elijah Amo and the ball into space, especially dribbling at that kind of pace. Good positive start from both sides.
So that substitution, officially, David Diaz in for Carolina Core, Robinson Aguirre out. Dominic Colon on the clearance. Fillerman. Slavov for Amo. Now Kofi. Back for Amo. Lays it ahead for Slavov. Turns to his left. And it's reset by Virginia. Taken away by Carolina Core and Diaz. Brown also took a spill. There's a foul against Virginia.
Good sequence of possession from Virginia Dream right there, but did not equate to any sort of opportunity inside the 18-yard box, and weren't even really able to get it central. If you're Carolina Core, do you look at some of those chances where there's a sustained spell of possession, you get Virginia Dream expansive? Do you find some of that urgency off the ball to regain possession and go, as we see Virginia Dream now driving into some space?
Intercepted by Carolina. Zegers turns it back for Evers. Zegers and Evers. John cuts inside. Physical play, no whistle, as Anthony Sumo went down. Montenegro.
We can see the change for Carolina core. Zegers has moved into midfield. David Diaz is occupied now that right-sided forward, that winger position, and Nathan Brown has gone back to that right back position.
Cologne just caught a shoulder and nothing was given. It'll be a throw, though, for Carolina. A good bounce off a poor throw. Montenegro finds Zegers! What a strike! An early second half goal. And Carolina core is in business. Great job by Montenegro to keep that alive. And Zegers with perfect placement.
This is a class finish all around. Starts with a subtle throw in. Clearance central. Clever for Montenegro. An absolute quality finish from Zegers. Which Donovan Ricketts moves him to midfield. At starting position, and his introduction to on the ball. It's a little higher up the field now. Clever touch from Montenegro. Commands all of that attention towards the ball. Zegers, no doubt about that finish. Has the shape.
Carolina looking for more. The pass off the mark, looking for Sumo.
And the pace needed to beat Hector Guerrero.
Zegers in his first season out of the Netherlands.
Introducing Millionaire for Life, brought to you by the
You talk to so many around the game, and
Millionaire for Life.
I mean, even when we talked to Donovan Ricketts earlier this week about the evolution of the positions in this game of soccer, goalkeeping, you're almost in the 11th field player. You got to be able to play with your feet, the distribution, the defensive responsibilities as a forward, as we see this work rate up top from Sumo. And then you see it from Zegers, the evolution of a midfielder. You're a playmaker from that deep position. We've seen him on the ball in his own defensive half, but then also to be a play finisher, getting into the attacking third and able to get on the ball in dangerous areas.
With the quality of that strike, would you believe it if I told you that is the first career goal as a professional for Tim Zegers?
Wow, yeah, taken like an experienced veteran, because that strike was decisive and clinical. Now for Carolina core, it's about staying locked in. We mentioned it in the first 45 that a goal was going to really change how this game was played. So now you get an early one here in the second half as we see Sumo coming off. So now what is the response from Virginia Dream? Now you've got to open up, got to create some more chances, and you don't have to do it right now. You still have plenty of time here in the second half to generate a quality look.
Khalid Balogun will come on. Spent last season, 2024 in USL League One with Lexington SC and Miami FC. Did score 4 goals in League One in 2023. Had one the last time he was in USL Championship.
Entering the match is number 14, Khalid Balogun, for number 11, Anthony Sumo Jr.
So Sumo off, Balogun on. Carolina core, which I don't want to say they sleptwalked through the first half, but certainly looks like they have a different kind of jump in them in this second half.
I think they just lacked a bit of ruthlessness in that final third, in those actions. Got themselves into dangerous positions, but just were unable to capitalize and reward themselves. And that is far from the case here to start this second half. And I'll reiterate it. Can they sustain it? Can they now find that next gear? You're up 1-0. Can you continue the defensive structure? Continue to find some of these moments where you overload it defensively. You're able to regain possession higher up the field and push for a second.
Balogun from distance, punched away. Rebound for Diaz. He couldn't control it. Heck of a strike from Balogun just into the match.
Introducing Millionaire for Life, brought to you by the North Carolina Education Lottery. Millionaire for Life. Drawing 7 days a week, winning is just the beginning.
Evers. Now Cologne. Off the mark for Dylan John.
Good first few actions from Balogun. That run from David Diaz attracts attention and it opens up that gap for Balogun to take from distance. Good response here from Virginia Dream.
Amo plays it across, and we're level. And who else? Zoumana Diarra. This man just cannot stop scoring. In the qualifying round, a hat trick, and then in the clincher, the go-ahead. And tonight, just 5 minutes after Carolina took the lead, Diarra levels the match at 1.
And I would just stress the deceptive simplicity of this run. It's kind of a broken play there, bounces back, good ball in. Then you get the texture and the shape in from this ball from Elijah Amo. And Diarra sneaks in, works off that blind shoulder of the defender, and meets that all with the composure that you need to tuck that away. And we're level.
Such a great ball across by Amo. And an easy finish, effortless from Diarra.
And I know that final pass comes from Amo, but the play continues with Akinkoy and his ability to get back on the ball, and we just had not seen that a lot in the first 45.
CJ Taylor having a word with our referee Yannick Rothfuss.
Goal scored.
Now how does the home side, Carolina, respond? Given away, Diarra, who just scored. Misplayed by Hawkins. Montenegro and Balogun were pressuring. Virginia escapes that. Montenegro with room. Tried to get it to John. John stepped up. The clearance was blocked. John again. Montenegro finds Zegers. Has another go. The shot blocked out for a corner. Hawkins got a piece. Feels like we're watching a completely different game in the second half.
Yeah, and the adjustment from Donovan Ricketts and his side, you get Zegers in midfield. You've already seen Montenegro get himself involved higher up the field, so you're able to climb these levels when you have that attacking characteristics, that profile. And we've seen a lot more from Carolina Core here in the final third, and now can they deliver a dangerous corner?
Balogun getting a talking to. Rothfuss, the referee.
And now all the attention in that space, and you got to imagine that some of these runs are going to be to deflect the attention.
Towards the back post, it's a good ball. Hawkins got a piece. And the foul on Carolina.
This is what you get when you have the experience within this Virginia Dream side. You can go down 1-0 and there is no panic. You have a lot of players that have played high levels collegiately. You have a lot of players that have experience in and out of professional rosters. So you knew that they weren't going to be shaken by conceding, and that's why I was stressing the importance for Carolina Core to go after that second goal, because you knew you needed to most likely stretch this lead to feel any sort of comfort, and even then you felt like there was still a moment for Virginia Dream. But now you find yourself level again.
Battle forward in the corner. And a corner kick coming. Seemed like one that didn't need to happen if you're Virginia Dream. Certainly Carolina will take the opportunity. Zegers with a banger in the 52nd from Montenegro made it 1-0. Diarra on the feet across from Amo in the 58th. They go short. Sent back in. Off target for Diaz, who is making the run towards the back post. Montenegro dispossessed, but a throw in for Carolina.
This is that special test that the U.S. Open Cup provides so many of us and so many teams. A unique opportunity to play knockout round. You're at 1-1. You could talk about these game scenarios. You can revisit them in team talks, but you just can't live them out until you're doing it in real time. So what is that response like? What is the character of your side? You go up a goal, down a goal, you go level, as we see now. Montenegro is going to find himself with a yellow card and the tackle from behind.
Ladies and gentlemen,
I think for Montenegro on the ball, he has been one of those players from the first half to the second half that has been extremely influential, and felt like it was really important that he minimize any sort of threat there from Virginia Dream in transition. And now puts himself on a yellow.
Third booking of the night for Carolina. Approaching the halfway point of this second half. On the free kick. And after the whistle, ball still sent towards goal, and that will not make Carolina Core very happy.
Yeah, I would say if Laculia had picked up a yellow on that action, that would be a silly one to put yourself in the book for. Going back to the uniqueness of this matchup, yes, Carolina Core are the team, the professional side, and Virginia Dream. But we're talking about young professionals for Carolina Core. I mean, this is about an average age of 23 years old for Carolina Core as the collective. And for Virginia Dream, at an average age of 28. Again, these are players from Virginia Dream that have, and you talk about Michael DeShields, played at Wake Forest, James Fillerman, Old Dominion. I mean, you go across the roster. Elijah Amo, ball across, played at Louisville.
That's why you got to take these amateur sides very seriously. Can't overlook anybody. Amo. Bit of a miscommunication there with Laculia. Montenegro assisted on the Zegers goal. By the way, Ristozzi has equalized Charlotte Independence. They're at halftime. Flint City Bucks at the half still lead Forward Madison 1-0. And Lexington and Flower City Union scoreless. John, with Alma watching him. John tried to slide it through for Montenegro. Cleared away by Virginia. Carolina's going to make a substitution. Dylan John going to come off. Jesus Ibarra will enter the match.
As tonight's match takes place inside the holy month of Ramadan, play has been paused briefly to allow players to break their fast.
As you heard the announcement in Truist Point, in observance of Ramadan, those who do observe have a chance to break their fast. And that gives us a chance, Eric, to just kind of break down the first 20-plus minutes of this second half. A lot of deliberate movements in the first half, not a lot of chances taken. Carolina certainly had the better of the two sides, but in this second half, it almost feels like a completely different game.
Well, I would add to the point that you just made, the first half was met by a lot of purpose and intent, very deliberate. I would say that this second half has been an extension of the first 45 in regards to now you've sprinkled in the urgency aspect of the intent, the purpose, because as soon as each of these teams have hit the attacking half, their movement has been more explosive and more, I don't want to say structured, but it's had this ability to unlock various spaces, which we just were not able to see in the first 45. Virginia Dream, every time they get on the ball, they seem to be able to play a positive pass into that front line and then have that midfield join, and we did not see a lot of collective moments like that in the first half. And for Carolina Core, you still feel like there's one more clear-cut opportunity for them out there, just from overall chance creation in and around the 18-yard box. But you got to go ahead and execute that final action, because right now you're talking about living in and around the 18-yard box and not necessarily finding that breakthrough inside. Other than the Zegers goal, I mean, Balogun had a chance from outside the 18, but nothing as the looks of Nathan Brown in that first half, the shot that went wide, or Sumo's chance that was saved by Hector Guerrero.
Jair Kaiser also into the match for Carolina as we're back underway. Dominic Cologne is out. So 4 subs used by Carolina, none so far for Virginia Dream. We'll see if the fresh legs ultimately went out here.
And I would imagine that C.J. Taylor and his coaching staff and this group are probably going to see what the next 5 to 10 minutes present. Because we mentioned it in the first half, you see it throughout the first round of the U.S. Open Cup. Fatigue take its toll. The fitness levels kind of present themselves as you see these games wear on. We've seen a lot of late either winners or goals that have kind of made the result even more definite. We've seen a couple games that were 1-0, whether it's a goal in the 88th, 89th, some of those late goals. You could see maybe fatigue playing a factor.
Dangerous tackle outside the area. Clearly outside. A clear foul. So it'll be a free kick coming from just outside the 18. One more look.
And I'm not entirely sure what the argument is from Jesus Ibarra. There's the foul. I mean, again, fortunate that it's right outside the box. It looks like he catches that right foot.
For sure has to be a card, you would think.
And it does look like the attacking player does make first contact on ball, so you could see Ibarra pointing at the ball. So I would guess that his argument is that he went through the tackle and got the ball in the process, but
your attention, please.
This is going to be the deepest free kick that we've seen for Virginia Dream. And
so Ibarra does pick up the yellow. How about this development? Akinkoy. Along with Fillerman. Get ready to take this. Fillerman looks like he will be the one.
Now, Elijah Amo enters the fray.
He had the assist on the Diarra goal. And it's Fillerman who gives the ready. Fillerman, back post. Not certain if he was going for goal or if nobody was home on that delivery. Either way, it's a goal kick for Nick Holliday. Balogun inside the cross, and that's out for a throw. Kaiza. Ibarra thought about swinging it in. Now switches. Diaz. And a goal kick coming. The U.S. women's national team will conclude its 3-match series against Japan on Friday, April 17th at Commerce City, Colorado, featuring the last two She Believes Cup champions. This top 10 matchup takes place on a special Hello Kitty themed night at Dick's Sporting Goods Park. Secure your tickets today at ussoccer.com/tickets. Virginia Dream on the move. Diarra, the goal scorer. He's been on fire throughout the qualification rounds and in this first round match. 5 goals for him in the last 3 matches. Amo, who had the beautiful assist on the goal. He gets around Kaiza. On the volley, that just rolls in to Holliday. Final 15 minutes of a very entertaining second half. Carolina Core, Virginia Dream. Core out of MLS Next Pro, Virginia out of UPSL. Virginia, they pulled off a cup set or two. Could we be in store for another tonight? And remember, if we remain tied after 90 minutes, we will head to extra time. Zegers takes it over. Balogun for Zegers. And Balogun is called for that foul, and he's going to get booked.
Just starting to see some moments for Carolina Core that they are on different pages on what ball they want and when they want it. Seen quality patience from Ibarra a number of times in the final third, but just leads Balogun into that tackle. And that is 5 yellow cards for Carolina Core.
Feel like Virginia Dream, since that sequence that led to the equalizer, the match is unfolding exactly how they could hope for.
Yep, and you haven't made a sub yet. I mean, you haven't had to make kind of that change that maybe flips what you're trying to do, whether it changes formation or you keep the same formation but it changes personnel and profile of the way the team plays. Because with extra time looming, I mean, we still have plenty of time here in regulation, but talk about the depth that some of these amateur sides possess, and I can't imagine that that's something where you want to make a handful of changes really early. So this has been managed extremely well from a personnel standpoint of the 11 players on the field, but also C.J. Taylor and his coaching staff.
Right on cue, Eric. Virginia Dream does make their first sub. Jacob Campbell comes in for Jimmy Fillerman. Dangerous moment. Turn and the shot! Virginia Dream have the lead! Akincoy on the turn into the lead.
And someone who you lean on that is familiar with shining on this stage. Starts with the throw-in, but this touch across the face of the 18. Able to work it around Nick Holiday. Not hit with a lot of pace. But it's the location and really the deceptive nature that you get from the traffic in front of Nick Holiday and how crafty that touch is across your body. And we were waiting for Akincoy to make his involvement known tonight. You didn't see it a lot in the first 45. There was just a lack of connection. As this game has worn on, he's gotten on the ball.
Goal for Virginia.
What a take for Virginia Dream.
Now Carolina. It felt like just a moment ago they were up 1-0, and now they've given up back-to-back, and they find themselves down 2-1 with a little over 10 minutes to go at home. We've got a cup set brewing in the first round. Taken away by Amo. Ibarra.
And now for Carolina Core, the challenge becomes who settles this group down? And as a professional, who wants to put their foot on the ball and say, hey, I can help us regain momentum. I can help us get back into rhythm. And now as you approach with 10 minutes left for Virginia Dream, it's the complete opposite. It's who can be that disruptor.
Zegers who has the goal. Kaiser. Hesitated once, now twice, now the low cross. Blocked, cleared for the moment. Balogun flips it forward. A chance for Diaz, big save! Hector Guerrero with another. It will be a corner, but Guerrero keeps Virginia Dream in front. What a stop.
Such good movement from Carolina Core. And this is the second time that this poor clearance has led to a big opportunity for Carolina Core. The first one, clearance central, led to the goal from Zegers. And big save from Hector Guerrero.
Off the corner, headed away. Amo in a foot race. Balogun recovers.
Well, Hector Guerrero has not been called upon to make a lot of saves here in the second half. Obviously had the goal against with the finish from Zegers, but that was just quality. Not much that Hector Guerrero could do about that one. That is a massive save at a timely moment.
Montenegro wide. Rainbow turns another corner. You're about to get everything from Carolina Core these next 10 minutes.
And you got to imagine that this is an area that they feel like they need to get more of if they're going to pull an equalizer.
It comes down almost. DeShields got rid of it. It's recovered, though, by Kaiza. He curls it in. DeShields gets a piece of it again, and another corner, but this time from the near side.
Fans, get on your feet. We have a Carolina Core FC corner kick presented by Philadelphia Commercial Real Estate.
Virginia Dream getting set to make 3 substitutions. Anderson Asedu will come on for Kofi in a moment. But first, this corner. Rainbow, outswinger, back post. Flicked back in. Evers tried to find Balogun, and it's cleared away. Diaz giving chase. And that rolled over the end line for a goal kick. So the subs for Virginia Dream. Zumana Diarra, who scored the equalizer in the 58th. He's out. Thomas Sucheki comes on for him. Jean-Christophe Kofi exits the midfield. Anderson Asedu comes on. And Michael DeShields will exit as well in favor of Demetrius Shepard-Lewis.
Yeah, you make those changes with every intent to close this game out at 2-1. Bring quality experience with Anderson Asedu, player with over 130 appearances in the USL Championship, 114 with Birmingham Legion. Somebody that'll sit in that midfield, be that destroyer. Obviously has the capability to be the playmaker on the ball as well, but right now, with less than 10 minutes left, you just need somebody that positionally is going to put themselves in all the right spaces.
By the way, Slavov got the assist on the Akinkoy go-ahead goal. Giveaway. Carolina looking for the equalizer in the 85th minute. Ibarra. Montenegro. Back for Ibarra. Montenegro on it again. Thought about clipping it in. Tried for the give and go. Diaz. And the flag was up for offside. And Virginia Dream content to take their time. We've had a handful of cup sets in the first 2 nights of this tournament. Are we in for another tonight? For the second straight season, Virginia Dream trying to end a dream for someone else in the early going of this tournament. And a stoppage for an injury. Virginia made it to the second round last year. Trying to do it again this year. like a couple guys bumped heads. Harry Hawkins for Virginia Dream is still down.
I know for Carolina Core, you're going to be frustrated with the amount of time that's left and thinking that you need to find a lot of quantity right now, but you don't. You just need to find the quality look. You just need to create one look at goal. Obviously, Hector Guerrero, massive save moments ago to keep this at 2-1. Carolina Core, generate a good look in front of goal, and find that composure. And for Virginia Dream, make sure that you do everything you can to protect all the space in front of your 18-yard box.
Guerrero picks it up and then falls on it. The ball gun in his face. Time running out on Carolina Core. And the 2 goals they conceded, you just got to tip your cap to Virginia Dream. 2 quality goals. After the giveaway, Kaiser Diaz, he had a bid denied earlier in this half. Right on the doorstep, Brown. Rainbolt. Nolan Evers wearing the captain's armband from Montenegro. Montenegro lost it, and it's cleared away.
Let's see if Rainbolt can get himself in the conversation in the final third.
Whipped into the area, over the head of Balogun. Evers steps up, keeps it alive for Kaiza. Rainbolt. Over the top. Flag up, offside, Jesus Ibarra.
Just solid structure defensively for Virginia Dream. Obviously, when you're nursing a 1-goal lead, your sole responsibility is stay compact, stay connected. This back line is continuing to guide those players in front of it. Obviously, Hector Guerrero has done a tremendous job of that as well. You're going to frustrate Carolina Core because you need to move defenders. But when you're already in the final third, the defender has no need to move. You just stay disciplined in the space that you're occupying, and you make it difficult for your opponent. And if you've got to pass on a player, you pass on a player. So it's now on the responsibility of Carolina Core to put together an explosive moment. And unfortunately, turnover here at midfield is just going to see more precious time come off the clock.
Goals by Diarra and Akinkoy in a matter of 20 minutes, the 58th and the 78th, and now Akinkoy goes down. And Carolina Core unhappy, but certainly Yannick Rothfuss will take this into account, as will the 4th official.
Yeah, we could see as soon as this ball is played from Akinkoy right here. And to your point, you know that the center official is going to keep a keen eye on what kind of time needs to be added. I think a lot of the times, obviously the frustration is the thought that you're losing time, but a lot of it is rhythm and tempo. You feel like you're on the ball, you're ready to go, and now you have to halt play. You can see how uncomfortable Akinkoy is, and you can see the substitution happening.
So we are officially past the end of regulation, awaiting the amount of stoppage time in the second half. There will be a substitution by Virginia. 6 minutes of stoppage time in this second half. Can Carolina find the equalizer and force extra time? Akinkoy, who has the go-ahead goal, has come off. Ibrahim Conte is on.
Another player with vast experience, has time with Detroit City. You have a lot of players on the field for Virginia Dream that have had various experience at various levels and know what it looks like to close out a game.
Carolina wanted a quick restart, and it was blown dead. Ibarra tried to play it towards goal. It was deflected by Shepard Lewis. And a foul on Carolina. Montenegro cannot believe it. Ibarra in disbelief as well. Yannick Rothfuss emphatic in his decision.
It's just a heads-up play when you're trying to see a game out. Shield the ball, make sure that the only way that they can get to it is through you. And already from the 6 minutes that we have added on, we're almost halfway through it. So for Carolina Core, finding that mix of quality and urgency.
Diaz speeding through. Rainbolt overran it. Laculia halfway through stoppage time. Into the corner. Won by Montenegro. And Carolina Core can get it moving.
Yeah, it's one thing when I talk about the experience that Virginia Dream have within their roster, but another is providing that clarity of roles, and then to stack on that as players to buy into those roles. And that's what we're seeing for Virginia Dream. You see it play out with how they're seeing this game out, how they've managed it.
Rainbolt, header's blocked, comes down for Kaiza. His strike goes wide. It's a goal kick. Again, the go-ahead goal in the 78th minute by Michael Akinkoy after Diarra tied it in the 58th. Carolina grabbed the initial lead, and they coughed it up in a matter of 5 or 6 minutes after that. And a yellow shown to Hector Guerrero for time wasting. Guerrero, by the way, has had a phenomenal night. 2 point-blank saves, one in the first half, one in the second half. And we talk about the goal scorers, but Guerrero has every bit to do with the current scoreline, as Diarra and Akinkoy do.
And I would add the element of some of the best saves that you can make as a goalkeeper, the saves that you don't have to make. So the organization that he's provided in front of him really led to the scoreline that we see right now, because when Carolina Core scored that opener to start this second half, you felt like it was an extension of some of the moments that they were building in the first half. So you felt like that momentum and that creativity we're just going to kind of manifest itself back into the 45 as we see kind of a mix-up.
Danger is here, yeah. Virginia survives. Carolina just trying to put it into a dangerous spot and get a good bounce. They nearly did. Kaiza asking for someone to make a run. A lot of physicality in the box with Balogun. And that's out for a corner in the dying seconds. Crowd getting antsy. A spot in the second round on the line. Can Virginia hang on for the cup set and move to the second round for the second straight season? The amateur side out of UPSL against Carolina Core out of MLS Next Pro. This could be the final kick of the match. Rainbolt curls it in. Balogun, heavy touch. They had Holiday, the keeper, in the mix. Montenegro's back on it. Montenegro, wide for Ibarra, slides it in front. Montenegro, just high over the bar. And that is the last action. The final whistle blows. Cup set at High Point. Virginia Dream moving on to the second round.
And for CJ Taylor, his group, Virginia Dream, a lot of high-quality individual performances that turned into a high-quality collective performance, and that's why you get the result that you see here as Virginia Dream advance to the second round in consecutive years.
The dream is alive in Virginia. As we take a look at our match highlights, Eric, not much doing in the first half, all the action coming in the second.
Yeah, and for Carolina Core, the stats themselves aren't going to jump out at you. It's going to be the work in and around the box that they're going to look at, that they just missed that kind of final action. You see it there to start the second half with the Ziegers goal. Then the quality response, match management from Virginia Dream. Great ball in and wrapped around, and Diarra tucks that away to equalize. And we were wondering when Akinkoy was going to make his presence felt, and my goodness, did he in a loud way. Somebody that has not shied away from this U.S. Open Cup stage. Had a couple goals last year in their run to the second round. Gets that finish. Not a lot of power, but it had the placement that it needed to beat Nick Holiday and provide the game winner for Virginia Dream.
Some heated moments throughout, some heated moments after the final whistle. Montenegro nearly leveled the score at the death on the game's final touch. But the Dream are alive, and they're moving on to the second round for the second consecutive season. For our producer, Emma Knuff, my broadcast partner, Eric Dobransky, I'm Josh Appel saying so long. Virginia Dream with a cup set, 2-1 over Carolina Core.